Hi, I'm Dave Thompson, the executive producer on the NASCAR The Game project over at Technics. Recently, we asked the fans and the community if they'd like to submit questions to us so we could run through all the answers and let them know exactly what's going on with the game. So I've got about 20 questions here. I'll try not to bore you all, but here we go. So first of all, will there be a demo for the game? Unfortunately, there are no plans for a demo currently. It's something we are constantly looking at. And it's something we're in discussion with Activision about, but currently there's just no plans. Is the game region free, and if so, which platform? PS3 is always region free. Xbox is region locked along with Wii as well, so that means you can't import the game. Will there be a PAL release? Again, it's something we're discussing with Activision, our publisher, and I'll let you know if there's any further news on that. And then finally, will there be a PC release? Again, it's something we're looking at. It's something we'd really like to do, but obviously we just need to make sure that it's going to be worthwhile. So again, watch this space, and I'll let you know if there's any movement on that. Will there be online AI? Not this time round, unfortunately. We've managed to really improve the 16-player experience, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't compromise any of that by adding AI. Because it's actually very difficult. So currently you can just play 16 players on the PS3 and 360. Will the AI drive more aggressively towards the end of the race? Yes, there will. And it's even more than that. The AI actually behave like the real-life counterparts. So somebody, for instance, like Kyle or Kurt Busch, will drive more aggressively generally through the race compared to, say, a Reagan Smith or somebody like that. And then what they'll do is towards the end of the race, they'll step things up an extra level, trying to push to get to the front. How often will we see AI-created cautions, and will there be debris cautions? You can't really put a figure on it exactly how often, because it's not scripted. It's something that happens at random. You know, it is just like an accident. So there will happen, but it's just not, well, I can't say to a race or through a race. It just doesn't work that way. And from a point of view of debris cautions, it's not something we do, because unfortunately there would be a debris caution nearly every lap. Those of you following our Race for the Chase series, we had, I think, 8 cautions in the first 3 laps, so there would be debris everywhere, and it would kind of be crazy doing debris cautions. So it's just something we haven't done. Next question, will AI drivers use other drivers to team up and draft back to the pack when they fall behind? When you're playing plate tracks, your teammate or teammates do actually work together more so than they will do with drivers of different teams. So they are definitely more likely to draft with you and give you a good push, and vice versa. So yes, we've supported that feature. How are people who intentionally wreck being handled, and can you vote players out in the lobby? We don't allow you to vote players out in the lobby, although in private races the host can kick players if they want to. Now, we've added ghosting this time around. So what happens is, if a player's stationary on track or tries to turn around and drive backwards, then we're going to ghost the car. It's quite aggressive with the ghosting, so it should actually take out the majority of people that try and wreck. Side-to-side collisions are a little bit more difficult to manage, because it gets down to who's the aggressor, and it's very difficult to actually deal with that and sort out racing incidents. So really, currently, the way we do it is, if you're stationary, you get ghosted. If you pause a game, you get ghosted. If you travel backwards, you get ghosted. So that will definitely deal with the majority of the wreckers. When playing online, can you tweak setups while practicing, during qualifying and before the race starts? Yes, you can. This year with online, we have a full race weekend, which includes practice, qualifying and racing. And between each of those sessions, you're actually taken back to the infield garage. During practice, you can actually keep coming back to the infield garage depending on if you want to tweak setups or change things on the car. So, and you can do that between each session. And it doesn't have to be a setup that you've worked on during that race weekend. You might have already saved one and you just want to change it, or you're going into qualifying and you've created a special qualifying setup, so you can do that as well. So there's full flexibility there, really. Will there be multiplayer support for the Wii? And will it get updates? Unfortunately, there's no multiplayer support for Wii. However, what we do have is 4-player split screen. So, you know, that's going to give it an added dimension over the 11 game, twice as many players, basically. and there's a field of, I believe, 22-ish cars on there. So it's actually going to be pretty crazy. In theory, that's 80 cars that you're going to be seeing on screen at once. Because it doesn't have online, then we can't support updates throughout the year. So that's just not something we've been able to do. And another question about the Wii, will it have the paint shop? It doesn't have the paint shop either. We do have custom paint schemes, which is kind of a mid-ground to that. And also when you're in your career mode, it does generate a paint scheme for you based on what sponsors you have. So there is a significant step up on 11, but it doesn't actually have the paint shop. Will there be 3 or 4 car racing at Daytona and Talladega, or will it be single file? It does have pack racing. It does have 2-car town going. If you go and watch the video on the NASCAR The Game TV YouTube channel, you can see we've actually got a video there of Talladega, and you can see the 3 or 4 wide into corners, pushing each other, generally jostling for positions. So, we've really tried to create that authentic play experience in the game this time round. What's the most realistic features in the game? I'd like to say the handling is ultra realistic. We've taken another step forward on that this time round, and also the way we've implemented the whole race weekend feature, I think is very realistic. We have all the sessions in career mode, for instance, so we have all the practice sessions. We've also got all the point races now, so you can do the duels, you can do the shootouts, etc. All-star race, they're all there. So we've really gone to another level of depth with the whole race weekend. Will your car overheat if you bump draft too long? Yes, it will. It will also start to overheat if you're in a pack and it's too tight. But if you lock onto that car in front of you and start pushing it, you're definitely going to send the temperatures through the roof. And what will happen with that as well is your engine loses performance. If the damage option's turned on, then you'll actually damage your engine permanently. Some of that can be repaired in the pits, but ultimately, if you keep on damaging your engine, you're going to blow your car and you're going to DNF. So it's important that you just don't keep pushing the car. I mean, you're going to hear it getting damaged, you're going to feel it lose performance, you're going to drop back through the field. So it's quite key that you manage that. And you can see the damage as well on the hood with the actual current temperature that it's running as well. So you can watch all that and manage that situation. Has the default tyre wear been increased in NASCAR The Game inside line? Yes, it has. We've rebalanced a lot of these kind of detailed features, as we call them. So stuff like fuel use, how damage affects performance, how your tyres wear. And it's not just how your tyres wear across the board. We actually have different wear figures depending on the surface, depending on which track it's on. So, concrete isn't going to wear your tyres out as much as, say, the newly paved Daytona surface where the loads aren't so good, for instance. So we've gone to that level of detail in this new version of the game. Has the setup been improved to help feel the changes you make? Yes, they have. They're a lot more noticeable. We've added extra depth again to the setup changes you can make. You can pull spring rubbers, for instance, put spring rubbers back in. You're allowed to change left-hand side tyres, for argument's sake, in the pit stops and stuff like that, which you couldn't do before. So again, we've expanded the whole range of options that you're able to make to the car now. Can you drive the cars in manual? Yes, you can. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. You can actually use a clutch as well this time round. We allow you to use a clutch button and assign that to either a pedal if you're using steering wheels, or you can use it on a controller. And you can also just use a clutch if you want to save fuel as well. So that's a little tip for you. If you want to save fuel in those fuel mileage races, then dip the clutch when you're rolling through corners and you'll save that little bit of gas. How is the damage model improved? Well, this year we've completely redeveloped the damage model. We've gone for a lot more crush and bend rather than the tear and shred that we had last year. So now when you kind of career into the wall at 180 miles an hour, the whole front of the end of the car is actually going to collapse. Parts will still come off just like they do in real races, and bits will still tear. They do that in real races. But the emphasis on this year's damage model is a lot more on the deformation and the crushing and the scrapes and the tyre rubs and things like that. So it's just completely new, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. How has the paint booth been improved, and can you have multiple sponsor logos on your car? Well, the big feature for the paint booth this year is the mirror mode. And that allows you to place decals on one side of the car, and then they automatically get mirrored to the other side of the car without actually using an extra layer. And the clever thing that we do as well with things like characters that you type in, the text that you type in, we actually reverse that as well, so you don't have to do that yourself. We've also added numerous real-life sponsors, real-life NASCAR sponsors, and those are actually there as stickers, so you can apply those as well. So there's a good deal of change, which will allow some of you really clever painters to make some absolutely amazing schemes. Will you be able to pick numbers for career mode, or only ones that are not taken by real drivers? In career mode, you can only pick numbers that aren't currently being used in the field, so you can't have duplicate numbers basically. But if you're creating your own paint schemes and you want to run in the likes of Quick Race or something like that, you can actually generate the numbers now in the paint booth, and that number gets automatically applied to the car. Last year that didn't happen, you still had to put those on the side of the car, but now you can. In career mode, you're actually your own team, so you're not driving for Hendrick, you're not driving for Roush or anything like that. So when you get a real life sponsor, you get a new made up a scheme that we've created. So it could be Home Depot, for instance, and you get a great brand new scheme by Home Depot. And then as you get new sponsors, they're automatically placed onto your car. You don't have to do that. So you're always going to be, you'll always have a great looking scheme. It's not something you're going to have to create, basically. Why wasn't Nationwide and Truck Series included? It's essentially down to the amount of work involved. For every sponsor, every sticker, every car, every driver, there's an immense amount of work involved. You know, we reproduce things to a minute level of detail, and every single asset has to be approved by the team, by the sponsors, by the drivers. So to actually incorporate trucks and Nationwide, it's just a massive amount of work. It's not that we won't do it ever, but you know, we're really concentrating on Cut first. That's a major series that we want to get right, and then we may do Nationwide, we may do trucks. We just have to see how it goes, really. I think that's it. I think we're done on the questions. So thanks to everybody that submitted the questions. Hopefully I've been able to give you an insight as to how the game's been developed and what's going to be coming out. The game's out on November the 6th on PlayStation 3, Wii and Xbox 360, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it. Thank you.